Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Barons held their Autumn Classics auction last weekend, and although I didn't get a chance to produce a pre-auction video, I've been looking forward to bringing these results to you because there's quite a few shocks. Now, although I didn't get a chance to produce the pre-auction video, I did review all of the cars before the auction took place, and I picked out 8 ones to watch. Not necessarily because they look spectacular or look cheap, just merely the fact that these cars had thrown up a few volatile results over the last few months, so I thought they'd be worth tracking. The first car on the list was this 1994 Mercedes W124 E200. The reason I picked this out is because last year W124 seemed to be gathering quite a lot of traction, which this year seems to have slowed right down again, especially towards the back end of the year. This particular model seems to be in lovely condition, quite a basic spec. It's got the 2-litre inline-4 engine, automatic gearbox, light interior with wood trim, and it's still got a few months MOT left to run. The advert mentions a couple of issues, such as a crackle coming from one of the speakers, intermittent issues with one or two of the electrics, and the headlining is starting to sag slightly, none of which are major issues in my opinion. As a way into classic Mercedes ownership, I don't think you can go wrong with a W124. One other thing to note about this car is that it's got one of the best histories I've seen on a W124, having 32 service stamps in the book, with the majority being dealers or specialists. With an estimate of 2 to 3 grand, I did think this was a bit of a lottery as to whether it would sell or not, but I'm pleased to say that it did sell. Unfortunately, the agreed price is undisclosed. The next car was a bit of a shock. It's a 2001 Porsche 911 second generation 996 Carrera 4 in manual guise. Now this car has a lovely spec which includes extended leather trim, Alcantara headlining, electric seats, cruise control and parking sensors. It's got an inoffensive colour scheme, being black exterior with a black interior, and the general condition seems to be good for a car with 100,000 miles on it. It seems to have an excellent history too, reportedly being a show car on the Porsche stand at the 2001 London Motor Show, as well as having a substantial service history. There's no mention of any modifications or rectification works to the RMS or IMS, which could potentially put people off, but it does have records of money being spent to keep the car well maintained. With an estimate of 11 to 13 grand, I thought this offered quite good value, to be honest, especially with it being a manual, so I was very shocked to find out that the car didn't actually sell. The next shock was this BMW Z4. Being an automatic 2.5 model, I thought the estimate of 3 to 5 grand was quite optimistic actually, and might have put a few people off. Don't get me wrong, it's a low owner car, good condition with plenty of history. Mileage at 76,000 is probably about average, and it's got just under a year's MOT left on it. Even 3-litre models have been struggling a bit recently, so I was pleasantly surprised to see this sell, albeit at the lower end of the estimate. I'm not really sure what I was expecting with this next car. It's a Mark 1 Toyota MR2. The prices of these have rocketed over the last couple of years, so I initially thought the estimate of 2 to 3 grand was too low. I then delved into the car a bit more and found it needed quite a lot of work doing to it. I'm pleased to say, in usual style, Barons got it right on the button because it sold for £2,650. I might need someone to educate me with this next car. Don't get me wrong, I completely understand the appeal of the E36 3 Series. In fact, I would probably go as far to say it's probably my favourite generation of the 3 Series. I also understand that outside of an M3, this 328i SE sits at the top of the tree in terms of specification. And I also understand it's an individual model with beautiful velvet blue paintwork and champagne sport interior. What I don't understand is why they command so much money. Fair play to both the vendor and Barons for being upfront with the condition by showing all the warts in close-up pictures, but the cost to eradicate all the dents, rust bubbles and blemishes would be astronomical. But if you look at how much these models go for, I don't actually think the estimate of 4 to 5 grand is actually that unrealistic. I just don't understand why there isn't a bigger difference between this, which is advertised as being an M3 replica, and an actual M3. Just quickly, I found this example on Auto Trader for 13 grand. Yes, it's a bit of a jump in price, but it's got 45,000 miles less on the clock. It's an Evolution model with a hardtop, and it's a manual rather than the 328 being an automatic. Condition wise, this seems a lot better too. Despite all this, I'm still surprised that the 328 didn't sell, to be honest, even at the lower end of the estimate, just for the colour and specification alone. Ford, Ford, Ford. Just what is happening to Fords at the back end of 2024. Without going into too much detail on condition, which I would describe as genuine and honest, with a bit of work needed, I thought this Mark II Granny would have been snapped right up. Yes, it's had a new engine, but the whole history of the car is documented, with plenty of money spent on it over the years. It's a very late, facelifted Mark II Granada in GL specification, with a Cologne V6 2.8 injected engine, and it's got 7 months MOT left to run. I think in terms of specification, this car would be very attractive to collectors, having electric windows all round, electric heated mirrors, electric driver's seat, central locking, and a sunroof. It's even got a bunch of additions from the options book, such as external trims, headlamps, etc. It does have some negatives, such as the aforementioned engine replacement, Sierra steering wheel, bits of surface rust and aftermarket head unit, but overall, a genuine, honest example. I'll be honest, I'm not too sure about the estimate, which was £5,000 to £7,000. In one hand, I thought it was a bit on the steep side, but on the other hand, nothing surprises me with classic Fords, and I still expected this to sell. Unfortunately, something of a recurring theme with classic Fords at the moment, it didn't sell. The next car I was interested in was a Series 2 Lotus Elise R in Touring Plus specification. I'm going to be honest, the reason I was interested is because I thought the estimate was quite optimistic. With 87,000 miles on the clock, the condition I feel is in keeping with that, so it's not really the best. And it's gone 20,000 miles since its last service. It didn't sell in Barons' last auction, and with an estimate of 15 to 20 grand, heading deep into the colder months, I'm not surprised this didn't sell at all. Last but not least was this little beauty. When was the last time you saw a Vauxhall Cavalier convertible? Now, according to how many left, there was only 35 of these registered on the road at the start of the year. I could be wrong, but I'm sure it was only the Mark II Cavalier that was offered as a convertible, and it was a conversion carried out by Hammond and Thide in Germany. Anyway, despite my hatred for Vauxhalls, seeing this in the auction actually raised a smile, and I'm genuinely surprised that this didn't sell with an estimate of 1,800 to 2.5 grand. I really thought just a Vauxhall enthusiast would have snapped it up. So another autumn auction done with similar results, it seems. I really do think the classic car market has slowed. Call it falter, a correction, a recession, whatever you want to call it. There's definitely evidence that the crazy increases over the last few years have stopped. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Barons, and in particular Gary, who's given me quite a bit of help to be able to produce this video. One of the reasons I always follow Barons is because of the wide range of cars they get through their auctions, and this auction was no different. It would be interesting to see how many of these cars that didn't sell will feature in their next auction on the 9th of November. Let me know in the comments what you think of the cars that I did pick out, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel for more auction content. As ever, thanks for watching, and get them classic cars tucked away for the winter. Cheers!